further changes to the current policy. So if you bear with me as I read the statement. Thank you. Firstly, Zaab is highly appreciative to the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment for their willingness to engage and for the opportunity to share another round of concerns and suggestions to the latest new biosafety and biotechnology policy. We appreciate that some of our comments have already been included in the latest draft and thank the Ministry for their efforts. Our submissions, public engagement and information sharing are in good faith and on behalf of our membership, including small-scale farmers, consumers, faith-based organizations, and civil society-based organizations. We appreciate that the precautionary principle has been clearly included as a guiding principle. We are of the view that the primary function of this policy is to implement best biosafety practices. This is the primary function of the biosafety policy. This is especially considering that it needs to regulate technology that in many instances releases living modified organisms into the environment, which interact with our ecology, our bodies, and mutate, and cannot be recalled. Precaution is therefore the wisest and only course of action, where environment, agrobiodiversity, health, and valuable niche markets can otherwise be highly threatened and will be undermined. So that being said, we remain highly concerned about the confusing and vague definitions within this current latest policy draft. The unbalanced view throughout the policy promotes the supposed benefits of modern biotechnology and does not mention the wide range of well-documented problems from the last 30 years that have occurred where this technology has been on global markets. For this reason, we have submitted further comments for consideration to the Ministry. Best biosafety practice remains the wisest course of action. Documented problems to date include, but are not limited to, contamination of local crop varieties, technology failures that resulted in crop failures and loss of markets at small scale, local and national level, financial disaster for smallholders who have invested in highly expensive technologies and then experience barriers to market entry and inability to pay back these loans. Increased market control by foreign multinationals, leading to loss agrobiodiversity, decreased competitiveness in the sector, and decreased seed availability and biodiversity on the markets. Increase of pesticides, leading to polluted soils and waterways, as well as increased health risks to farm workers and farmers in particular. Pest and weed resistance, leading to increased chemical use and ever-rising costs, loss of organic certification and related markets, and increased regulatory burdens for export. Zambia is currently known as a GMO-free country, and so we can automatically export our crops to anywhere in the world. We will lose this opportunity. Who is going to compensate farmers and the economy for this serious economic loss? None of these issues have been reflected in the new policy, which instead promotes unproven successes which have not come to fruition over the last 30 years. With a host of well-documented negative and unpredictable impacts, clear definitions, as well as mechanisms to ensure robust risk management and case-by-case decision-making are vital. Public participation is the cornerstone of best biodiversity practice. The government is obliged to ensure public participation in decision-making. This necessitates mechanisms to ensure transparency, eradicate conflicts of interest, make information publicly available, gain prior informed consent from potentially affected parties, create platforms for public input and ensure decisions are communicated and appeal processes are effective. Note the word there, effective. Civil society's right to a seat within the institutional framework within this policy must be fulfilled. This is currently not captured in the new policy, which instead prioritizes private sector and international agency representatives. Zambian civil society should not shoulder the liability and redress burden. We find it absolutely unacceptable that this policy has shifted the burden of liability and redress from the producers of this technology and the owners, and thus the profiters, to the end users, i.e. farmers, consumers, and ultimately our nation. The producers of this technology cannot insist on increasing intellectual property rights, so patents, over our seed and genetic resources, which were previously in the hands of farmers, controlling our markets, and at the same time passing off adverse effects of their technology to the Zambian society. This is not in accordance with best practice law and absolutely has to be rectified. And lastly, agroecology is known and is confirmed and promoted around the world as the future of agriculture. Zambia has the opportunity to lead the way in agricultural practices that adapt to and mitigate climate change, grow dietary diversity and nutrition security, and service one of the largest growing global markets, organics. Agroecology is a method to build a healthy, just, and equitable food production system based on food sovereignty. We request that our government supports the growth of agroecology in Zambia and supports the farmers who produce our food and steward our agrobiodiversity and our environment. Zaab is concerned that the future is being threatened as economic benefits for a minority are consistently privatized over and above basic human rights of the majority of the population and environmental sustainability. Zambia's agro-food systems are increasingly industrialized with associated privatization and control of land, seeds, forests, water, labor, as well as markets. And thus the whole to lead the way rather than submit to an industrial agriculture system that is de-skilled and depossessed farmers, radically narrowing our dietary diversity and contributes to climate change and the pollution of our soils and waterways. The focus of the biotechnology and biotech policy must continue to be on protecting Zambian interests rather than those of foreign investors. This will be achieved through drafting clear and accurate text designed to implement robust biosafety procedures, placing liability and redress on the producers of new technologies, ensuring that the Zambian commons and the economy are protected in the interest of food and nutrition security, of human and environmental health, local economic growth, and effectively including Zambian citizens in all decision-making processes. We thank you very much for your time. We thank the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment for including another round of submissions to this policy, and we really look forward to engaging further on this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Francis. So we've come to the end of this productive day. We thank all of you for coming through and for your contributions and making this particular meeting a success. Thank you so much. So as we leave, we will meet